Okay. Entrepreneurial mindset people, welcome. So it's an honor to be here with all of my co-conspirators, co-collaborators, not only here in the room, our incredible solution makers that responded to the United Nations call that came from the UN Non-Government Liaison Service. I see Susan Alsner there. Hello, wave. Yes, this is Susan Alsner and her team. The United Nations Foundation team, where are you guys? Yay, okay, amazing colleagues. These two groups came together with the support of the core UN leadership from Secretary General's office on around to bring this together. And the goal here is, if we're gonna solve the SDGs, it really comes from the innovations that live around the world. And in many cases, the SDGs, there's already extraordinary solutions, but they might be hiding in one region or in somebody's, you know, like they're living in our entrepreneurs. But we need to rapidly accelerate and share in order to solve the problems. And really, it takes a network. If you think about the entrepreneurs from the whole history of humanity, whether they're political entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, economic entrepreneurs, social change, all of those, it came from people, from a person or a small team that had an idea and began working, began doing, and then moved on to be supported by their network. So I'm Megan Smith. I had the honor to serve in the United States as the US Chief Technology Officer. It's an exciting time in this area of digital, open, data-driven, collaborative government. There were many other colleagues from every country represented here who are sort of digital techies who are joining colleagues in government, and that's coming, and a solution that's happening to really release the resources of our governments, open data and those things. So I was able to work on that. Before that, I had entrepreneurial experiences in Silicon Valley and at MIT and other places. So what we're going to do today, the format is this. We have incredible entrepreneurs. Today we're going to have our four who are focused on education and entrepreneurial empowerment of people. You know, so we brought up the education goals, and some of those goals, they really address several of the SDGs. And actually, if you think about it, if everyone had education and empowerment, they'll bring their passion to whatever topic is of interest to them. So it's in the fundamentals of all of the goals today. So the format's going to be, each of them are going to come up. They're going to talk to us and tell us their story. Many of them have slides. Very quick pitch. So you're just going to get a sampling of the innovation they've brought. And so maybe a couple minutes of that. And then we had a couple people who we call acceleration partners who offered their time this morning to sit with the entrepreneurs and come up with great innovations. We call it 2/3 yes and. How would you help this entrepreneur? Partnerships, funding, technology, other ideas you'd come up. What ideas would you help with? And then also, every idea needs a little critique, right? So 1/3 of the time or less, yes, but. What are you worried about with this solution? Is there a privacy concern? Is there this kind of concern? Is there a technology concern? Do you believe in the science? So we want to do that with our entrepreneurs. So the acceleration partners will come up. But I want to make it interactive. So we have some people who've already talked to them. They're going to say a few things. But if you have a burning idea, I want you to run up here, and we're going to have a one-liner. This is really Twitter length. We'll hear from you. And also, those in social media joining us, we'd love to hear from you online. So please tweet at us at UN and in the Solution Summit. OK, so first up, we have, we're going to go with Poverty Stoplight. Right? So Jimena Villeros, who's from Paraguay, these guys are incredibly innovative in figuring out how to do what is one of the most important things to do, which is how do you design together with the people who are facing the challenge? Design with, not for somebody, but together with those. And this is a way to solve really extreme poverty collaboratively with those who face the challenge. So welcome to the stage, Jimena.
Thank you, Megan. So how do we work with families so that they understand how they're affected by poverty? For many years, we tried to answer this question through our microfinance program. And although we saw a lot of people improving their businesses, earning more income, something was still missing. So what was missing is that if we were to go back and visit these families, we were still finding that even though they were earning more income, maybe they still didn't have a healthy bathroom. Even though they were making more money, they still live in pretty unhealthy communities. Or didn't have access to water. and many different components of poverty and aspects in which they could improve their quality of life that wouldn't necessarily happen because of our interventions. So we created what is called the poverty stoplight, because we saw that poverty affects different families in many different ways, even within one neighborhood. So what if we break down the concept of poverty, which is usually complicated, hard to grasp, difficult to understand for families, and make it so that they can take ownership and really understand, okay, in which aspects of poverty is my family affected, and what can I do to own that and to do something about it? So we created a simple way of how we can identify poverty first. We need to know what doesn't get measured, doesn't get solved. So we're measuring poverty, but from the perspective of the family and using color to code the different situations. So in the case of water, for example, a family would see a family that's carrying water from a stream or a river, and that would be a situation of extreme poverty. They will see another picture where a family is getting water from a well, and that will be a situation of poverty. And then in the third place, they'll see a green picture of where a family actually has a faucet and access to clean water during all the time of the day. So in a very quick way, the family can relate to this picture and say, okay, which one is my situation? And then we move to the next one. And we do this with 50 indicators, focusing not only in the traditional indicators of income, health, education, but also going to, okay, what are the other aspects of poverty, such as self-esteem, family violence, that are often not taken into account, but are clearly very important when families need to be empowered to overcome poverty. We use technology, so we have developed a visual survey where we can use tablets when we get to work to the community. The families themselves are looking at the three pictures and say, okay, which is a situation that better relates to my family, and choosing the pictures. And we do that with the 30 indicators in about 20 to 30 minutes. So what happens after? Once you're finished just going through the assessment, the family can clearly see, okay, all the reds and all the yellows are where I need to work on, are where I'm going to establish my priorities and my plan so that my family can improve our life condition. Because we use technology, we can geotag, and in a very simple map, we can see that each dot is a family, and we can start partnership. Okay, we need to actually get solutions based on real needs and partner with governments or with public sector to bring interventions. So the poverty stoplight is not just about measuring poverty, but actually what we want is to unleash the potential that families have inside to move them towards green. So it's in a very simple way, we want them to make the transition indicator by indicator from red to yellow to red. And we've seen amazing change happen just by helping families realize their potential and how much change can happen. This is a competition, sort of like a stream makeover, where families were able to work for 3 months with their partners, just raise money in the community and actually transform their bathroom, just because they knew that they wanted to get to green. We also can, from having information from the bottom up, we can partner with governments, like in this case, to provide ideas for the families. And so there's many different ways in which we can unleash the power and let the solutions sort of blossom, and that's what we've been trying to do at Fundación Paraguaya, but especially partnering with organizations, nonprofit businesses across countries so that they can implement the poverty stoplight in their own programs. It's a very adaptable tool, because what we want is we define locally what does it mean to be poor, or what does it mean to actually not be poor at the family levels, and then encourage the families to take ownership of that and develop a plan to actually implement it. So as we scale up, we have developed a big network of organizations, and what we're looking for is to improve our technology. We want to, right now we reach people one by one. We want to be able to reach millions and to break that barrier of having to be present. We're testing the potential through a business model where we have hubs in every country that are representing this tool. We really are very hopeful that this tool is sort of like can meet the gap between, okay, having information come from the family, and then also the other many different tools that exist to address the SDGs. So thank you.
Fabulous. Stay up here. Amazing. Okay, so we had a group of people come on up. So we've got Nina Sharma, Lori Mandarino, and Nyla Rizvi, Nyla. Welcome. So I'm going to just give you the mic, a short burst sense of what would you do to help two-thirds yes and what other critique might they need to be aware of?
Thank you. Yes, well, in our discussion group this morning, we had many, many yeses associated with this project. First of all, we felt that it gave the families a sense of ownership, agency of their own situation in their own home. They played a key role. They were the key participants in defining their problems to be addressed and not just looking at that to come from the outside, from an NGO or from the government in the problem definition. It's a very user-friendly tool. I mean, you saw there with the visuals, doesn't necessarily require literacy, and country to country adapts the visuals to their local cultural situation. This has been adapted in 23 countries we talked about, which is fantastic. And also the geospatial data that was produced there can be a tool for entrepreneurs in the community that want to try and address these needs that families have identified as their highest priorities, medium and low priorities. And finally, this type of a prioritization approach at the family level allows families to see their own progress and to see how small changes, maybe just progress on 1, 2, or 3 of the 50, how those are ultimately adding up to a real change in their family's situation.
Thanks. And also, Laura, you're from the city, is that right? You're from New York City?
Yes.
Say a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, I'm with the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and we are working closely with the UN on all aspects of SDG implementation. I'm the associate director based here in New York.
This is the kind of solution that a network like that, could use. And I wanted, Lord, to tell you that, and also, Nina, each of you guys say, because it takes a network to solve problems. And so whether it's our government colleagues and the networks you bring, our university academic colleagues, which also bring our students, which is wonderful, or whether it's our community and also prize organizing, in addition to non-government and that. So let's hear from Nina.
Hi, Nina Sharma. I'm with Project Xcite at the University of Denver. The biggest opportunity I think that we saw in this is that there's an incredible amount of data being collected. It's a huge opportunity for visionaries and entrepreneurial ideas to sprout, whether that's on the community level or other people analyzing this data and seeing what's possible. The other great thing we saw that probably needs some real focused attention is partnerships, that to scale this, to really get into those unreachable areas, get into rural places, get to where people are extremely poor, you need to partner with people who are already there. And getting people who are already working with tablets to collect other data to collect this. So finding those NGOs and governments and police departments is crucial.
Terrific. And then, Nyla, I want to hear from Equator Prize. And also, if people out in social media, if you have ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Solutions Summit or hashtag SDG Live is good. And also, at UN is easy to catch us.
Thank you so much for having me here with you. It's very fantastic to hear from about that. She's working on the poverty and especially with the farmers and the very poor communities. And there she categorized the entrepreneurs and the farmers into categories, and the tools she shown here are very, very, very useful, and that anybody can assess that, okay, this is with the problem is associated me and associated or not with me. And other thing that I saw in her this presentation, that there was she was the linkage development between government and the other organization with the community. I would like to suggest that the community must be organized. There must be solution for the community by the community, and the community organization must be there, and she has to put her effort on making the community and organized into according to their categories, so that they can find their problems and to the solution of their problems.
This is a really wonderful insight because those who face similar challenges, solve them in ways, and it's you shaking your head, so I bet you're already doing some of this work, yeah, which is terrific. But getting people who face similar challenges to be in a social network together using physical space and digital space is a wonderful thing. So thank you very much. Incredible. Thanks, our accelerators. Any wild carders? Anybody got something they're burning to say? Anything from social media someone would shout out there? Okay. All right, so we're going to go to our next amazing innovator. So what is great, I got to meet Sakina earlier, a couple years ago, but so much of our world, the youth, young people don't have access to education. And Sakina has really done something extraordinary with her team on accelerated learning, and she's going to talk about how quickly, one of the things that's wonderful about learning to read is that once you've learned, you can read to learn, and you can read to participate. And so getting people to that second, third, or fourth grade level of reading is really when you shift from first grade, when you're learning how to do it, but as you get a little older, you're really beginning to consume content and read from that in different ways. So I want to welcome Sakina Yakubi to the stage with Afghanistan Learning Institute, literacy via text messages and other things.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I am here because, Afghanistan has the biggest problem with the literacy program. And the people of Afghanistan, how we can improve the situation in Afghanistan. I believe strongly with my heart that if you want to change that society, if you want to bring change to that society, you have to educate the people. I think the core of every country to be improved is education. For that purpose, we have a problem, and what's the solution? The way I feel the solution was that we create innovative way to really speed up and scale up the education. And the way that we did it, we created a mobile telephone that it will help that the students who has no education at all, even don't know the alphabet, they can learn in 4 months and a half in a classroom with the mobile phone and with the book, that they learn how to read, and for 4 years, a level of 4 years. And this is something that I really would like to share with you because I saw that, and that is how it has a great impact. First of all, we create a teacher training manual, and the teacher training is in the classroom with the mobile phone, with the books, that they can help the students to pick up this in 4 months and a half. But also with this, what kind of subject, SDG subjects, is violence against women, peace education, democracy, rule of law. These are the subjects that be integrated into this mobile phone with 2,000 messages. With these 2,000 messages, these students stay in the classroom, 80% of them are learned, and 100% of them are graduate from this program. Why we are doing this? The reason is that we promote community situation. Through this mobile phone, these girls learn how to communicate with each other, how to get to contact each other. And not only that, they do know how to do that, also they feel self-resilience, they feel confidence, they feel empowered, and also they are teaching the community by themselves. So in one way to scale up education, and that's the way that we feel that's been happen. What's the impact? The impact is so far, we have trained 29 teachers, we have reached 1,600 students, and also we have reached community after community that they want this program. What we can do with this? I think that we need partner, we need resource. What do you need partner and resource? We need the resource because we do more teacher training, we put more students in the classroom. What we need partner, we need mobile phone, we need a SIM card, because through this mobile phone, we have a SIM card, we have a telephone that we provide for the students. If we have that through the partner, we could really scale up this situation, and we can really raise up the level of the literacy program. And why I am doing this, I really believe strongly. I love my country. I love education. I believe in education. And I think this is the way to go. This is the way to go. And for that purpose, I have other plan. I want to do a television station because I really believe that with the mobile literacy that we scale up so far, with the television station, we can do much greater than that. Thank you very much.
Incredible. Thank you, Sakina. Stay here, please. We have some guests who are joining us. Let's see. We've got Hala, Preeti, Josaphat. Yeah, come on up. So, and just for everybody to know, there's so many organizations who are supporting as acceleration partners. And anyone can be an acceleration partner. We just recruited you just recently, too. So some people have sat with the entrepreneurs. Some people are just listening right now. I heard someone on Twitter has an idea, so we're going to hear from that also. But just to share that people like Skoll Foundation, the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, SDG Philanthropy Platform, Yes Bank, Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs, the University of Denver, MIT Solve, the Equator Prize, like all of these colleagues have come together to support these entrepreneurs, and we want to role model that because we have entrepreneurs all over the world who would bring solutions for the SDGs, for their countries, for their communities, for the whole planet, and the more we surround them and lift them so that they will bring what they are going to give to the world, the more this network can benefit together and solve all these problems. So to start with, tell us your name and organization, and what do you think would accelerate this or your ideas?
Okay, my name is Hatle Holmersdottir. I'm from Oslo and Akershus University College in Norway. And I've had the very pleasure to sit with Sakina this morning. And actually, I'm going to say yes, but what? So what do we need? We need more Sakinas. We need a network of Sakinas globally to work together, people who really want to come together to take on our idea and to work together. But we also need governments, we need NGOs to support this idea. The initial tech or the initial cost is one thing that her and her organization have put forward, but to get it to grow, to scale, and to bring it to more communities, we need government support.
Yeah, it is amazing the scale you have already reached. So it's a very scalable idea. And so bringing together partners who would know about it and could just accelerate that, federate. Let's go.
Thank you. Wasn't that amazing? So what I want to share is Sakina is also called the mother of education in Afghanistan. So I'm with Yes Bank in India, so I want to give a big yes on to the issues of women and girls. This is all about women and girls, and you know how big gender is today, and it's so important. Then it's about access, you being able to reach out into areas far away. And she said when the girls get these phones, they don't want to give them back. It becomes a center of their lives. Then it's about mobile. Hey, we all use mobile, so why shouldn't girls in Afghanistan use mobile? And for education, that's so great. And then it's low cost. You've developed it yourself. And finally, these girls with the mobile become a center for their families. They become centers of community engagement. So for all that, go, mother of education, and I hope you get lots of private sector support for education and for girls.
Thank you. I want to thank her, first of all, for the great work she's doing in Afghanistan. And I want to talk from a community perspective. Okay. The kind of organization she's working on, she's working in a very pretty simple way, particularly in technology. The technology is very, very simple, and it is affordable and portable. Unlike when she would be using some sophisticated technologies in laptops and television. So it's a very, very simple idea and very, very adaptable to a local community member, you know. So one thing I want to emphasize on her, she should try to work with the ministry, with the relevant ministry, maybe the Ministry of Education, Gender, and something like that. And then she should also try to push on to have some partners in education practitioners and well-wishers and donors to support her. It is a very great idea, I can tell you. Thank you.
Josaphat is one of the winners of the Equator Prize. So can you say a tiny bit of what you created?
Okay, my name is Josaphat Mwamamtana. Once again, I'm repeating. Okay, I'm working with a community-based organization back in Kenya. It's called Mikoko Pamoja, or in other words, Mangroves Together. It is one of the winners of the Equator Prize 2017, and we won because of the outstanding work. We are providing solution towards climate action, one of the Sustainable Development Goals. I think it's goal number 13, and also we are developing the community through a carbon payment ecosystem scheme, whereby we sell mangroves carbon. And one thing I want to emphasize on is that it is the first ever community-based organization in the whole world to trade in mangroves carbon. So it is a new idea, and we have tested, and it can be upscaled and replicated in any mangrove area. So we call upon government and policymakers to support this idea. It is a great idea, giving to consideration that blue carbon ecosystem actually are one of the most efficient ecosystems to use or to conserve and help in the race against climate change. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very much so. And Josaphat from Kenya, and I think, this creative idea to be together with nature, community-based, also indigenous in many ways, comes from our great history. I love the word indigenous. If you think about the solutions that are the nature-based formal solutions from older days that we can do in a modern way. So thank you. So Sakina, amazing. I heard there's someone from Twitter that is writing to you. So again, if you're writing to us from Twitter, hashtag Solution Summit at UN.
Hi, yes, we've been getting questions from all over the world as they watch the live stream. So we have someone who's really curious about the cultural implications of the program and how curriculum is put together. If they're working with teachers, if they're working with people in the community, how is this curriculum being built?
It's incredible, and as I hand that mic, I just wanted stats. I don't know if people really heard, but I think it's 17. How many? You've taught 1,700 classes already. Give the stats.
Yes, we have reached so far. We only trained 29 teachers, and we reached like 2,600 students so far, and 270 right now in the class. Cultural part is that I really, in a country that the women are segregated, they are sitting at home, they could not get out of the house. And when you give this phone to them, it is in another way to give them freedom. And it's culturally is acceptable because empower the whole entire family, is empower the community, and they through communication, how are you, what are you doing, what you are cooking, what's going on in your house. These are kind of the questions that they are interact with each other, and through that, it's really bring the community together, and as a result, the program is very, very successful. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear it again for Sakina. Thank you very much. Thank you to our accelerators. Please keep sending your ideas from online. Thank you. Okay, we are going to hear our next person, but right before that, I think we're going to hear, so I see a short video. Is that correct, teammates? Are we going to look over here? Yes? Okay, so this is a format. The format is put out and ask who's already solved the problems. That's what the United Nations team did here. People submitted forms to come, and then a volunteer committee selected all of you. We wanted a wonderful collection. There were so many incredible ideas of real things that people were already solving on all of the goals that it was hard to decide. A volunteer committee did that work, selected this wonderful collection of folks. One of the things that happened is the University of Denver last year, because the Solution Summit happened right after ratification, an hour after ratification in 2015, so those 14 entrepreneurs, and then in 2015 and then 2016, those entrepreneurs got to go to Denver. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. So you can do this format anywhere, and this was a Solution Summit boot camp.
The flight to Denver was really an opportunity to expand on the university's Impact 2025 global goals and really be the leader around innovation. The opportunity to work with the United Nations Foundation to bring 15 entrepreneurs to Colorado to work with our collective ecosystem, as well as 5 universities. It really was telling the story of what we're trying to do with Project Xcite, and most importantly, what we're trying to do with the University of Denver.
It started because I was at the UN last summer for the Solution Summit, saw all these wonderful global entrepreneurs and said, we got to bring all these folks to Colorado. And really, I think the vision was trying to connect the Colorado innovation economy to global social entrepreneurship.
The ecosystem you have here at University of Denver with all the collaboration of the different parts of the university and all the students coming together and the professors and the deans, and I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you brought the city in and you have the governor and you got the whole state involved, and it's like the spirit of it is what's really different.
What's great about events like this, they're inspiring and also incredibly welcoming.
and they use the best of human spirit to help another person with something that would really matter.
We really want to be at the center of innovation, but more importantly, through diversity and inclusion, we can solve the world's biggest problems and come up with the best solutions together.
The University of Denver team, Nina and JB are here, and the United Nations Foundation, Susan Meyer, and the teams, the Governor Hickenlooper, and everybody who did that. And we hope that it serves not only, you guys are doing it again in October, but also an inspiration for anybody here, anybody on live stream. Just start doing this. Here in the US, I know National Day of Civic Hacking is happening on Saturday. It's like a jam hackathon. Think of, making jazz, but solving problems. So this is a format you can steal and take and borrow and make it work in your country, in your region, in your school, in your community. Okay, next up, so we've been to South America, we've been to Central Asia, and now we're gonna go to Indonesia. So Veronica Kolendam has an incredible organization called Whitecap. And this has to do with kind of mission-driven microfinance, focusing on education and empowerment, and a really clever two-step that she's gonna tell you about. So come to the stage, Veronica. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, hi everyone. Good, the energy going here? Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about this one big problem that we have in Indonesia. It's the dropout rates. We have about 2 million kids drop out not finishing high school. And the problem is poverty. So the problem that we want to solve is how to bring these kids back to school, getting skills or jobs at the end of the day to help their family. And the thesis is simple. We want to break poverty through education because we believe the higher the education, the better welfare the family can get. That's along the way. And we do it through Whitecap, and that's our logo, where this is a book, that's a foundation that how all thesis of change to create a house that is prosperous. Whitecap actually stands for Yayasan Cinta Anak Bangsa in Bahasa. Yayasan is foundation, Cinta is the word for love, and Anak Bangsa is children of nation. So we're doing this because we love the children of nation by giving them hope and opportunity to just come back to education, get themselves jobs. And in our experience, because we work with underprivileged children, they're mostly, work with their parents to make money. So the idea is actually to also support their mothers, that they can have extra income so that they can put themselves to school. Sometimes the schools is free, but going to school never free. You have to have transport money, meals money, and all of that. So we want to empower mothers. So we actually use microfinance as a means to an end. That is to enable education in the household of the poor people. So this is our premise of change. So what we do is actually we create a social investment fund that is used to do that microfinance, access to capital, create that income stability, and also helping their parents and their children to actually go to school and become working graduates. The idea is for them to be independent. The last component that we are working on is actually this, so that every working graduates can give back to the whole pool of social investment through mutual funds. So this is the product that we want to create next year. So this is Kristanti. She is actually one of the 2 million people who drop out of school. So we're looking at 6 kids per minute. So Kristanti dropped out when she was 15. And next to it, there's our school, we call it Rumah Belajar or Learning Center. And then she went there, graduated, and took the electronic repair skills with Samsung Academy that we partner with. And throughout the years, she then worked for Samsung. By 2014, she became the best employee of Samsung Indonesia. And last year, she became the best agent repair in Southeast Asia. So that's the story of change. And we want to bring this story of change to the 2 million who do not have the opportunity to finish education. We want them to have the life of Christianity. So here's the thing that you can participate. We have 2 models of social investment. We are now working with about 100,000 families, mothers, that enables thousands of kids to school. You can come in as investors. You can come in as givers, of course. And this is the 2 social investment. The first one, we call it social investment. By that name, you know that you get your money back, principal back, with interest, about 5 years payback. And the second one is the philanthropic investment, and by name, you know that you don't get your money back. But this is what the CSR model has been working with us, like the Central Bank of Indonesia, HSBC, Chevron being our first investors for philanthropy, and then we create a sustainable program that target both the mothers in the economic empowerment arm and also the education for the children. So I guess that's how we want to come up with a solution that is sustainable, bringing kids to school by empowering their home economy, and everyone cannot escape not participating in creating that change as investors or givers. Thank you.
Incredible. Okay, Veronica, that was terrific. And I love the idea of like a mixed model, right? So we can't do all of it through philanthropy, which we wish we could, but if we can use a clever way through social impact investing together with it. So wonderful. Okay, JB and Jenna, I think, are coming up. Yeah, great. Okay, come on up. Okay. So what are some of the wild ideas that you guys would accelerate with here?
Well, one of the... my name is J.B. Holtz, and I'm the Dean of the University of Denver School of Engineering and Computer Science, and the author of Project Xcite. Thank you all for watching that video. Thank you for showing the video. It was great. One of the things that we talked about was how interestingly scalable this combination of, to your point, microfinance and education, that sort of virtuous cycle, and that can be replicated at scale in really interesting ways. So the challenge was, how do you go to 50 million of capital to support that? And I think a lot of what we talked about is, who do you go to, who do you talk to provide that kind of capital? And there are entities out there. JP Morgan's right down the street. We can just go stop there on the way out. But a lot of the conversation was, how can we make sure that you have the capital base in order to meet the goal, because it's clearly proven as a model.
Hi, I'm Jenna Nicholas with the Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs and Impact Experience. And we have a number of members at the Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs who are actively involved in the impact investing space. And particularly what we talked about was impact first investors and sort of the need to be able to have people that can provide that type of capital, and also ways of engaging the diaspora here who are interested in supporting and engaging in that way.
Thank you. So hold on. Now, do we have any social media? Anybody saying anything out there? And remember, if you want to talk to us, hashtag Solution Summit at UN, SDG Live. It's also a hashtag.
Hi, thank you so much. We have some questions kind of expanding on what we just heard. Like, how are you targeting people to tell them about this opportunity in order to invest? And how are you reinforcing that positive feedback and loop back when you're having people come in with investments?
Yeah, for the philanthropy, we work with corporations. It's clearly CSR money. But as for the social investment, we're creating the mutual fund product and also impact notes, which we will actually, it's a debt sort of like financing. So we want to go through the capital market, because to run microfinance in Indonesia, we really have to do it through a financial authority sort of like license. So that's Whitecap Ventures. So that's how we can create this capital market product that is available for the public to actually chip in, come in as a crowd sort of like funding. But then at the same time, we also want investors to come in for impact. Yes. Thank you.
Terrific. Okay. And the other thing I'd point out that is true with what you're doing is you're also adapting some of the education itself. Like you're meeting the children where they are, or maybe it's somebody who's not a child who's also retraining or learning, but not a rigid thing, but sort of adapting them. Like Sakina, you're teaching really in 4 months how to read to the 4th grade level. That's incredible, and doing it through mobile phone and community, right? Which is a different kind of classroom, modernizing classroom everywhere, classroom always, all learning. I don't know if people saw Lorraine Jobs, who was married to Steve Jobs for a long time, incredible entrepreneur, is doing XQ, like IQ, EQ, XQ super schools. They just had a television show here in the United States a week ago, Friday, where they took CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox for 1 hour and showed amazing movement about upgrading how all children in the world are going to high school. Much more fun, much more like this, and really solving real problems like SDGs. And there were many schools highlighted in new kinds of curriculum. And I really encourage people to go online to XQ Super Schools and watch that, because it's very much in the spirit of how we learn and upgrading. You guys are very much doing that, and I think it ties in, JB, to what you're trying to do at University of Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the real message of the Project Xcite initiative was twofold. One is, if you bring these people to your town, they will never want to leave because everyone will love them. I mean, that's one of the things that we learned. We brought 200 Coloradans who had no association with the SDGs or other together to help accelerate, and they've adopted all those companies. But the other side is, we should have 200 cities, 200 universities do these. Let's have 200 flights to wherever over the course of the next year. That's how the SDGs are really going to get going. But get her to your town, and she'll never, your people will never let her go. It's an awesome story. She rewrote her presentation on the fly while we were talking with her this morning on her phone. I bet you can't do that.
That's an entrepreneur. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Amazing. Okay, we're going to go to our last extraordinary entrepreneur in the area of education. And so Sambola Group. Sambola Group is for education development. They're based in Lebanon. What's interesting about this is Masa is focusing on refugee children and anybody in learning, and really had found an extraordinary curriculum that was already in Lebanon called the Little Engineer Cooperation, which is a STEM program. There's lots of wonderful STEM programs. This is one of them. And then was teaming up to figure out how to make sure that the children who are suffering so much in refugee situations were also doing that. So I want to welcome you. I had the honor of meeting some of the young people who are part of the robotics team in Lebanon, which was here, Hope for Syria, that was winning contests. So the young women and men in that team, had a lot to say about the confidence that doing technology and STEM and engineering together with language arts and other things was really bringing to them. And one of the young women said, we have a lot of stuff to fix when we get home, so we need these engineering skills. So welcome to the stage, Masa Mufti.
Thank you so much. So today I'm going to be talking about one of our success stories, which is the recent program called STEM for Refugees. And we like the title because usually we hear basic literacy and numeracy for refugees, whereas we wanted to do something else. We wanted to say STEM for refugee, and why not? But let me start with this. Contrary to common belief, the current crisis of education in Syria today is not the result of the humanitarian crisis only. It has predated the war in Syria, mainly due to the fact that there was mainly focus on access at the expense of quality, and there was a huge discrepancy between education outcomes and employability. Unfortunately, this is being repeated today in the context of humanitarian response. See, our challenge when it comes to education response in the context of humanitarian crisis is of twofold. First, how can our education system provide equal opportunity for inclusive and quality education for all children as per SDG 4, which, by the way, does not exclude refugees and displaced children? And second, and most critically, how can we achieve those goals even in time of conflict? So, basically, education is not only a humanitarian matter. Education is a matter of right, of justice, and the way we choose to shape the future of our society. And that's why the current approaches today are not sufficient. And that's the problem that STEM for Refugee aims to resolve. STEM for Refugee provides a disruptive and change-making solution that addresses directly the needs and aspiration of the Syrian refugees. The model is designed in a very flexible way, either implemented in a learning program acting as a hub or through a mobile station with a total of 20 hours lessons. Children and learner becomes more informed about the relevance of STEM and how they can apply them to solve their problems in their own context. The kind of skills that they get to be equipped with is like foundation literacy, and again, not only restricted to basic and numeracy literacies, but including digital literacy, scientific literacy, and citizenship literacy. They get to also acquire the basic 21st century competencies like communication, collaboration, creative thinking, and also. But most importantly, they get to be empowered with what we call the character qualities, which is persistence, grit, adaptability, leadership, and so on. So how we do that? We contextualize STEM by engaging the learners in program and hands-on activity so that they get to apply physics to create or build a swing or a seesaw to create a playground in their own camp. Or they could also build a water tank and use the filtration system so they can have access to clean water. Or they can learn how to program heat detectors so they can protect their camps from fire. Even more, they can get to use renewable energy to create a solar oven or even generate more energy from the wind, and so on and so on. But the best part is when the kids start coming back to us with more contents, with more ideas and more problems, wanting to work on them and finding solution for them. So this is the approach that allows those vulnerable children to reconnect with learning again and to believe that education actually can make a difference in their life. When children are exposed to such empowering experiences, not only they become resilient, but they actually start seeing the future where they can see themselves being self-fulfilled and productive citizens as well in their society. And this is when we hear a young refugee girl like Sundus who said at the launching event, with STEM, I learned that for every single obstacle, there's a solution. Hence, nothing will ever stand in my way again. So what's next step for us? This is a very novice program. We just launched it 7 months ago, and we're witnessing life-changing experiences with the kids. So since February, we had 3 cycles, 150 refugee children have graduated, half of them are girls. So the program is designed to be replicable, scalable, and we're aiming to reach 15,600 kids in the 3 hosting countries in Lebanon, Turkey, and Jordan over a 3-year plan, and eventually when the war stops, we want to hit Syria. What we need for that, however, is a lot of supports. We need technology partners, we need in-kind donation, capital resources, institutional partners. But let me end with this most importantly. STEM is not just an attractive program that provides access to the 4 disciplines or science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM for STEM is actually, it employs STEM to make learning relevant and to ensure that our kids are committed to education again. And most importantly, it proves that, yes, quality and inclusive education is possible and feasible even in time of conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And it's so important at what you just said, you know, in the most toughest of situations to continue to build the creative confidence, you know, and the talent of everybody facing that, and they can help lift themselves out of that. It's interesting to think about the important competencies of the 21st century. You know, of course, critical thinking, literacy, these things, but also computational thinking, design thinking, you know, collaboration, teamwork, network, partnership, and all of that. So let's bring our colleagues up. Let's see, I think Ashit Patel, you here? Jennifer Austin, Radhika Shah, come on up. I think that's our group. Come on up. Okay, so what would you build with? And introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Radhika Shah, representing the SDG Philanthropy Platform, a catalytic platform for philanthropy to collaborate with the UN governments and catalyze exactly the kind of innovation we're seeing here and inform policy. And what was, it was very inspiring. It was like a microcosm of change makers in the refugee camps who were full of optimism and hope. And one thing a group talked about building upon was how can we bring more visibility and capital resources to these young change makers. And the group offered Kimberly Musk, one of our University of Denver folks, offered that resource. The SDG Philanthropy Platform could bring a lot of resources. And then also visibility via campaigns like the UN Together campaign. And the other area to build upon was how can we bring frameworks of innovation to have these amazing entrepreneurs for them to kind of look at their context, but also see frameworks that have worked, such as the SDG Innovation Lab around design thinking. And again, the University of Denver offered the first robotics. Great, great discussion.
Terrific, thank you. And Jennifer. And one thing I want to say is Jennifer and I work together at Google, and you may mention some of this stuff, but all of the companies, we haven't talked as much, Salesforce, Google, you guys have really interesting in-kind forms of your products, in addition to corporate giving, other things. And I know of the Google for Nonprofits programs that you guys have, and there's probably some from Salesforce. I know Microsoft, Amazon Web Services. There's so many, almost every company in the world, small or large, does things in crisis response as well as in general. And so that's a real entrepreneurial opportunity for everybody to kind of note.
Great. Thank you, Megan. So, hi, I'm Jennifer Austin, and I'm was pulled in. I'm here in a personal capacity, friends with Radhika and Susan Alsner. And I should say I've been at Google for 13 years and created our Google Earth Outreach program, Ocean program. I was the first PM on crisis response, so definitely been involved in seeing Google's technology is for good. And one idea that I had was there's like a Google Expeditions for the Classroom program that lets kids go anywhere in Street View imagery, like underwater, but also into career paths, so they can see what's the future. And I was so inspired by your comment about kids coming up with their own solutions and seeing that they can do things and change the world. I think that's really inspiring. And then the other idea I had was what you mentioned, there are a number of Google programs. Google.org gives $100 million in grants every year, and then there's Google Giving Week, where Googlers pick nonprofits that they want to get other Googlers to help support a week every year. And then there's a number of other programs, Google Grants, free AdWords advertising for nonprofits, and YouTube for nonprofits. So I hope many of these tools and other companies can be used for good. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashit Patel, and I represent Salesforce. One of the things that in the challenge with Masa's solution is how to scale it up and scale it out. And one of the suggestions on the table was to work closely with partners on the ground. She has already started amazingly with some specific partners, and she needs to continue building on that in order to scale out to 125 and on to 3 million children. One thing we found with Masa is she has answers and she's methodical. Amazing as an entrepreneur who are kind of innovating and being resourceful. Along with that, Masa is also methodical and thinks scale. So that's great.
All right, terrific. So really quick to the social media world, is there something somebody is suggesting or asking?
Yes, we have a question from Ghana, from our connector, Plus Social Good connector, Emmanuel. He's wondering how we ensure that the community has both the digital literacy and the emotional aiding tools to make sure that this type of program is sustainable in the community and is supporting a kind of a holistic approach to the education.
Maybe use Sakina.
Yes, well, of course. STEM is also integrating technology, of course. So we are everything, it's multidisciplinary approach. And the STEM, the way what we did is to really to contextualize it and to make it addressing the real context and their issues and their problems. So it's a comprehensive approach. And the way it's proving to be sustainable, first we're measuring, the children that come to us are already children who are enrolled in school, but they are at a very high risk to drop out. So we're measuring retention. And we have other children who were out of school. They wanted to come back to school, so we actually helped them enroll back in school. So basically, we're building this, and not only that, the parents started coming to us asking for their children to be enrolled in the STEM program. So it is a community approach and very much comprehensive.
Terrific. So it's interesting because also there's a real idea of place-based innovation. They can come to this space, which we're seeing all over the world, whether it's very high-end in the universities. You know, we're talking about Stanford and the Norwegian teams who are here. WeWork or these kinds of models for innovation in our cities. And so place-based for these communities. We have a helicopter overhead. Okay. So we're gonna, we're I think almost out of time. I wanted to grab all 4 of our entrepreneurs to come up really quickly, let you guys come down, just so we can give them one last cheer. And it's really, you know, this work here, all of this work, it's a lot of work, right? This is an extraordinary agenda that we have together as a world. And so what can we do to solve it? The best way is to find those humans in our planet who are so enthusiastic with their brilliant ideas, who are already moving forward in the ways that all of you celebrate you, hear you, make you louder, and then build the network of all of us to accelerate them, then we don't have to do the work, we can just help, right? So it's a great way to do things. So I just want to honor and thank you, and the United Nations Foundation, UN Non-Government Liaison Service, the broader UN, and all of the acceleration partners, digital, physical, everywhere on the planet. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll join us again tomorrow at noon again for the next iteration, and again on Thursday. Thank you.